Welcome back to another We Power podcast, another We Power broadcast. And you already know we have another exciting show for you today, a show that's, I think, is very, very vitally important for our community to know and be made aware of. I have a special guest in studio with me. Her name is Kimberly Smith, and she is the founder of the Village of David. And we're going to talk about the Village of David. And as you guys know, the theme of our show is being able to identify what works for you. And our hope is that as you hear someone else's journey, it will spark something in you to encourage you to go out and identify what works for you. Because you know, here at We Power, we believe that one person's noble passion can be the solution to somebody else's problem. So our goal here is simply to expose the passions and people that we can expose solutions to our community. Now, welcome to our show, Miss Kimberly. How are you today, Miss Kimberly?
I'm blessed, King. Thank you so much for having me.
I am so glad that you took time out today to join us and to share with our audience. And we're going to jump right into it. I had the opportunity to come out and visit the Village of David, and I was absolutely blown away by my experience and what you have built out there to be able to pour into our community, to build up young kings and to build up young queens in our neighborhood, I think is a phenomenal piece. And I wish we could have just a plethora of Village of Davids across our city, even our country, because it would do a huge thing in changing the narrative of the stereotype of the African American community.
Thank you.
So, talk to us about, first of all, the concept of the Village of David.
The concept of the Village of David, first off, is just understanding that it takes a village. You know, that was, I'll start here and I'll be real quick. Initially, the Village of David started as I thought I was trying to heal my broken heart. My dad was dying of prostate cancer, Shedrick David Footman. And so I thought myself and my team, we found ourselves at a very unique point in life. We had all sort of been doing, off into our professions and doing things. And then just one day we all woke up, no longer doing that. So we knew that we were being redirected, right? And so the Village of David I'm thinking that this is what I'm, trying to come up with different concepts of how we can pour into the community. As the vision began to unfold, I actually Googled, Phil, I Googled who was King David in the Bible.
Okay.
That's really where it started from. Because when I saw that and I started to research who he was, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. And some people don't get it. Some, people don't understand. But what I understood about that was how many times he was referenced in the Bible, how he was sort of, to me, what I saw was he was sort of the vehicle that God used to show his compassion for his people.
Wow.
He was an imperfect man, but he was beloved. Like, God had purpose. He was inconsequential. Like, not him to be king, not that little scrawny, not that little dusty,
Right.
not that, but God knew, and he was the standard for which, all kings,
Yeah.
So that's sort of where, and I really started to research that, and I'm like, wow, imperfect. Like, oftentimes in our neighborhoods, in our communities, we are dealing with people, men, women, and children, who are thrown into systematic oppression. Right. They are just out here trying to make it. They're trying to survive. They do not have the support of the village.
Yeah, now that you say that, and I think about our communities, it seems like our communities are built to create us, to magnify our imperfection.
Exactly.
Just through the systemic issues that we've got to grow up through. And when you bring up David and you look at his lineage and the women that came through him, his lineage, and then he comes to be chosen as king.
Yes.
Not even brought to the party. They had to go out and bring
Right.
him in to be anointed. Talk to us about how does that play into the children that you bring into the village of David?
Oh, I'm glad you asked that. So, in my mind, this is what I sort of looked at. The different things that David did, not just what his makeup was, not him being a songstress, not him being, someone who wrote beautiful poems, not him being the murderer, not him being the adulterer. But what I realized is that he had gifts and talents and he was able to reach people. He was the ultimate underdog. Now, as I go through these things, you see how it all relates. God loved him and God had purpose for him. And he did things. He did a lot of things, but he was still chosen. And so for me, what that looked like was, okay, our people are not perfect.
Right.
Our children, they have traumas.
Right.
A lot of people ask me, why that targeted demographic? Because you asked that question. Because no one else thinks that targeted demographic is worthy. When I looked up who he was, the first thing that stuck out, and it's really weird to me, it was an article, but in bold print, and it was really weird. I just Googled, who is King David? Who was King David in the Bible? And what it said in there was a training camp for kings and queens. And what I realized was the muscle that my team had built. Legal professionals, mental health professionals, spiritual advisors, mentors, accountability partners, nurses, everything that we needed to provide a holistic approach. What I understand is that despite how our children, what they have gone through, despite what their families have gone through, it doesn't mean that we're going to throw them away. It doesn't mean that they have to succumb to those circumstances. So what we do is we want to get them in. What you visited was our child care facility. And what you see in there, it doesn't look very child friendly to the naked eye.
Right.
Because you don't see, the Ernie's and Elmo's, Big Birds. I don't even know those.
Most kids are scared of.
Yeah. Right. They see positive imagery of brown boys and brown girls. Yeah. It is very for us and by us, but it's because there's no place for our children to go to learn about their greatness, to learn their true history. Those babies give us access to the families.
Right.
The families give us access to the communities. If we pour into those children all day, we teach them appropriate responses. We teach them conflict resolution. We teach them pride in self-preservation. We tap into, our goal is self-actualization. We just want to put them in a safe environment. We want to give them access to things to see, hey, they're really good at that. Right. You know our people. Yeah. We're musically inclined.
Now you're talking about young babies at the child care facility. What are the age ranges that you're dealing with?
So we are at the child care facility. We are dealing with the age group of 1 to 6, and then we're looking to do after school and before school so we can get access. And when we get our second building open, we will go up to 18, and we will filter out into resource programs for the dads and the moms. It is a womb to tomb service.
Yes, it definitely is. So we talking about the child care facility, but walk us through your campus, because you're exactly right. When you walk in, it's not your traditional, you're not going to see what you see at your traditional daycare. You're seeing history, you're seeing who I can be, you're seeing who I came from, you're seeing, you're showing these babies really what's on the inside of them.
Exactly.
But as you walk through your campus, the campus that you have, the Village of David, talk to us about what will people see, and eventually what will the Village of David campus become?
Yes. So the first building is our child care facility. The second building, we're looking to do more of an enrichment center. So our child care center, what they have first there, they have access to performing arts. We teach them instruments, right now 4 different instruments, piano, organ, guitar, drums, and I'm looking to get a saxophonist in there.
Nice.
Because we're all musically inclined. We love it. It heals our soul. Like, music for me is very therapeutic. We're also looking to in our enrichment portion building over there, we're looking to put a recording studio.
Okay.
That being real quick on that, our older children, they may not sit down and express to us what they're feeling.
Right.
But if we give them a place
Right.
to record their music, we can hear, if we listen, we can hear
What's
their cries.
going on.
We can
Yeah.
hear what's going on. We can hear what we need. We also want to set up a nice podcast station
Nice.
over there, a dance studio. We do the dance not just for dance itself,
Right.
but for healing, for exercise.
Yeah.
We also, I'm looking to bring a guy in there who we are looking to breed and train service animals.
Okay.
And with those animals, my thing was that I love it because all the collaborations that we do, my job is real easy. I just find great people who are doing great things. And I'm thinking, wow, how would our children benefit from access to this?
Right.
So, we're looking to build 12 kennels over there
Okay.
and a training classroom. This guy will train, we will breed Labrador retrievers,
Okay.
and we will train these animals for service. For veterans, we will donate a portion of the litter to service animals,
Okay.
to children dealing with, and adults living with autism, and to children and adults living with epilepsy.
Wow.
And that's near and dear. I have several family members who are epileptic. I know how the use of a service animal can put them in more of an independent living scenario. So what I ask for all the people that I do the collaborations with is, hey, I will facilitate you breeding and training these animals. Just give our babies access to them. Let them help groom them and walk them and train them. A lot of our children won't have access to pets.
Right.
A lot of our children, they will spend a lot of time with us. Let's say 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Yeah.
They get they're picked up by a single mom who has to go home, deal with the work day, prepare for the next day, figure things out along the way. So they sit them in front of a TV until it's bath time and bedtime.
Right.
So they don't get access to accentuate things that may be in them.
Right.
Whether or not they are, good musicians, whether or not they're on our praise and worship team. I actually collaborate with a guy who's actually my son, one of the top running backs, still holding the record in the city. He comes over and he do physically and developmentally appropriate physical fitness.
Okay.
While we're training, we'll see those children who have talents that we can tap into. So if you're a participant there and I see that you're young, I have a mom who's a single mother or a dad or even if they're together, but just as a unit, they're struggling to provide that child extra curriculums.
Right.
Hey, let me provide X amount of hours of training because I see something special in your child.
Wow.
Your child has the ability to be an elite athlete, so let me pay for this training, even on down to the providing a barber and braid station in that enrichment center. So parents don't have to spend their Saturdays or, whatever, sitting into a braid shop or a barber shop.
So this would be for the parents?
It is a service that we provide for the parents to sort of alleviate some of the pressures. That's what the village do. You support. We're the supporting cast.
Wow.
And so we provide that to free up things. And then we, on the weekends, we want to hold like the Sunday. We want to sort of trick families into spending time and healing.
Yeah.
Let's have these cultural conversations. Let's do podcasts. And while you're there, our staff, we'll have the kids on, but Sunday, come over for brunch. Our participants, all of that is free to them.
Wow.
But what we also do is, in scenarios like that, we set up booths and we invite Black-owned businesses, because I'm going to tell you something, running a business is not for the weak.
Yeah.
And most people can't, live and also put things aside, but they have great ideas, great services, great products.
I'm glad you said that. Running businesses is not for the weak. And so when I'm sitting here and I'm just looking at the passion that you're explaining the Village of David with, you've got multiple businesses within the Village of David.
Yes.
And, the theme foundation of our show is being able to identify what works for you.
Yeah.
How were you able to identify the Village of David and all that you're doing to pour into these kids and to the parents and to our community. Talk to us about how you were able to identify what worked for you.
Living in these communities and understanding what the deficits are, understanding my training, my team's training, what we are capable of doing. You know, our certifications sort of certify us to do certain things, but the path that God has directed us on has qualified us to pour into these people. So when I say womb to tomb, that our campus starts with the children.
Right.
It pours out into, but even just the programming is very intricate. We see the needs of our community. And like I said, it's not a cookie cutter approach. We have children who have parents who are incarcerated. We want to provide, what we see, and stop me if I'm going to, but I just want to let you know, because sometimes it seems a little overwhelming, but it's really not. If you understand what the average household looks like in some of these, in the 46218, the 219, the 226. If you look at what the structure of this household looks like, many of these children are not coming from stable environments. And I say stable with air quotes because it's not typical that you have a mother and father who works the regular 9 to 5, who comes home, who plans vacations, who plans outings and things. You have people literally surviving.
Right.
And so you have to provide other things. We have children who we know, I've dealt with this in my own family, who had parents who were incarcerated. Mom was too busy working to go take that child to go sit for a prison visit. That's a whole day process for a 1 hour visit or a 2 hour visit. So that child doesn't get to see dad or mom. Dad doesn't, the income is not sufficient enough as to where mom can pay for 25-minute or 30-minute telephone conversations. But wouldn't it be great if somebody could facilitate that process in a safe place as to where that child and that man or woman could do that JPay visit, as to where that man could, or that woman could be a part of that child's routine once or twice a week. Hey son, let me help you with your homework. I'm still here. I'm behind a wall, but I'm here. Wow. And by the way, I understand you feel abandoned. I don't want to be here, but I'm here. Not because I'm a bad person, but because I done something bad or something that wasn't on the up and up. And I'm away, but I plan on coming home. If you facilitate those processes, what happens is that man is able to come out and be welcomed into his home, not as a stranger.
Right.
He's already grasped onto the fact that, when I went away, my daughter was 6, but now she's 16. I have to parent differently.
Right.
That daughter is not as standoffish because she's like, I get my dad wasn't here. Not because he didn't want to be,
But she knows him.
Yeah, but she knows them.
Yeah,
they're able. So those processes are important because what happens is, that sort of affects recidivism. If a man can't come home and be treated like a king or be welcomed into his home, now he's trying to figure it out. We already know society ain't going to just accept him. Right. We already know the barriers that's out there. That the hidden punishments that are waiting for the people who have already paid their price, right? So if you facilitate those types of processes, then you sort of remove some of the problems that lead back out there into homelessness, back into drug dealing, back into the survival mode. It's like, hey, we're committed to growing as a family. Right. So the Village of David is like, hey, why don't you guys come over here? Let's do some team building. Right. Let's do some father-son, mother-daughter, competitions, different things. Let's expose talents. Yeah. Let's let these families, let's let this man and woman have a safe place to talk about.
Yeah, let me ask you this.
Sure.
Being able to identify that it works for you, what was it on the inside of Kimberly when she looks in the mirror and says, I'm going to do this?
Can I be honest and not be judged?
Sure.
Okay. I'm going to say this. I've always been fairly intelligent, right? But once again, I was figuring things out in my latter years. I wanted things that I probably wasn't ready to have. I'll just say this. It wasn't until I was, and I apologize if I'm offensive, but my daddy was dying. My daddy had a full mind. He was sitting in the bed looking out the window, body shutting down, but he still had work crews out on.
Wow.
Yeah. And so the look in his eye right now today, it's been 5 years. The look in his eye is what still haunts me today. I saw a look of, I need more time. I didn't get to do. So that alone lets me know, like, every day I'm gonna wake up with a grateful heart. I'm gonna try to walk in my purpose, right? I didn't always do things the right way. I've had money, I've been broke. You know what I'm saying? But I did things that I've had to repent for. But I can be honest, until I was begging God not to kill my daddy, I never repented for the way I took care of my family. I never repented for the way, as a single woman.
That's powerful.
And I ain't gonna get on my soapbox, but me out there trying to figure it out as a woman who in my heart, I know I love people the way that God want me to love people, but I'm a protector.
Wow.
I'm a fixer.
See, that's how you could take me into church, because that's a whole, I mean, I'm just going to say it, you know, as a father on, you know, his dying bed, and God would come to me and say, I can bring you home now.
Yeah.
In order to bring your daughter, get your daughter's soul. Or you can stay and try to bring your daughter in yourself. That's, man, see, you took me, you went left. I wasn't expecting that. But that's a whole different conversation. And you answered my next question. My next question was going to be, Kim, what do you do on the days you just don't feel like doing it?
When I could be dealing with the same circumstance Tuesday and Thursday. Tuesday, my glass might be half full. Thursday, my glass might be half empty. My prayer every day is that, God, if I am going to do something that is going to, veer me off the path, like if I'm going to be out of your will, shut me down. Stop it. I don't want to be out there moving and hustling backwards. So every single day, I'm trying to give back. I've had a great life. I've been in things, I've done things, and I grew up in the hood. I love my community. I don't have to live, off of 38th Street, but I love my community. And what I realized is that a lot of people, they depended on me. And I realized, like, God, He gave me this ability to just listen and understand and not judge. And that's what the Davids need. Like, we're all Davids, right? Had my dad, would I give my dad up and just be okay and be like, okay, Dad, I'll see you on the other side of glory? Would I give my dad up to create the Village of David in my heart? I would have to say no. Like, I'm a daddy's girl, right? But would there be a Village of David had my daddy not? Had God not? And what I realized is that my daddy was a true David. He spent a lot of time, but he was a man after God's own heart. He made mistakes. And what I realized, one of the biggest things, Phil, I say, and I apologize to my family if I'm going too far, but I will say this. What I know, one big thing I used to pray, like, God, my daddy got it right. Him and my mama was in love again. Right. He was being who you created him to be, because he was a sweet person. He just did. He was a man, Yeah. And I was like, why would you take him now? Why would you do that to my mom? My daddy was young. Yeah, my daddy was 59 when he died. Wow. Okay. Wow. Why would you do that? But it was because he was finally ready. We weren't. Right. But it was like, hey, he's on the right path now. He can get his wings and God always knows what's best. And that was my dad's journey, and it breaks my heart. But that is how it came about. That is how I had to be affected to finally say, you know what? Because I was 40-something and smart. Both of my parents were, ordained minister, but that was the first time I ever repented. Ain't that something?
Wow, you were PK.
Yes.
Wow.
And that was the first time I said, God, okay, I won't. Because before I was never apologetic for the way I was helping people. I thought I was a Robin Hood. I was helping people. I made bad decisions in my younger years. And I was like, man, but I'm a good person. People love me, and I'm not hurting people, is what I'm thinking. But it wasn't God's will. You know what I'm saying? And so, in all actuality, I love people. I'm going to try to talk you out of creating a fatal mistake. But you hurt me or mine, I'm going to call Pookie and them.
Coming for you.
And God told me, I remember the day that I repented, he told me, he said, I gave you the mind to build empires, yet you rely on the hustle. I've shown you who I am in your life.
Yeah.
I've delivered you. I've protected you. I've done all of this stuff. Yet, when somebody hurts you or someone you love, you don't call me. You call Pookie and them.
Wow. And that's when I think about the Village of David, I see an empire. Empire. And as we wrap up, talk to us briefly about some of the other things that come up under that umbrella of the Village of David. I know we were talking about housing earlier.
Yeah.
But what else are you working with?
So just in sustaining, building sustainable communities, what you said about like what works for people, the Village of David is just a formula of what I see works, a systematic approach. I think anyone looking to build up and upbuild the community, you have to see what you're great at and what you have access to, the greatness that you have access to. Because systematically we are oppressed, systematically we have to climb our way up out of it. So if our transitional housing, it is for, we have some, I'm wanting to do one for reentry, but right now I do have housing that is available for young men 18 to 25 who have sustained certain traumas, for veterans, for people who have found themselves homeless. It's all about, because they are a part of someone's family. They are a part of someone's community. Can't pour into the children and send them home to broken families. That little girl, I could do as much for her as I, want to do, but if I can't give her a daddy that is present, or I can't give her a mom who is healed, then that brokenness is a little counterproductive. So it's all about, finding things that you're qualified to do or tapping into. The crab in the barrel days should be over for our community. We should be trying to collaborate and build together. The need is great. So there should be a bunch of Village of Davises, a bunch of Village of Davids up under whatever umbrella you want to put it up under. But the key is to be able to help the vulnerable groups that are not looked at as vulnerable groups, and that is our inner city kids and our families.
You are absolutely amazing.
And so are you.
I'm glad to have met you.
Likewise, Kate.
But if somebody wanted to find out more about the Village of David, or if they wanted to get involved, or if they wanted to come and support, how would they get in contact with you?
They can email me at at thevillageofdavid.org. Our website is, some of it is still under construction, but our website is www.thevillageofdavid.com. If anyone wanted to take a tour of the campus, we are at 7225 and 7227 East 46th Street. Everybody know the blue building sitting right there on the hill. Yep, we're in the house now. We got it open. And just reach out to me by email, or, tap into the website and send out, put in your contact information. Let us know if you want a tour, or if you want to be involved, or even if you have great initiatives that you think will work well. We would love to facilitate other people's passions.
Great. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for the invite, Mr. Phil.
You have been listening to the We Power broadcast, the We Power podcast. I'm your host, P. Anthony, a.k.a. The Underground Professor. Thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Peace.
We want to thank you for tuning in to the We Power podcast. And as always, we want to thank our sponsors, Victory's Insurance Agency, LLC. Reach out to Victoria Moore, and you can find her information in the comments below. Life Financial Solutions, David E. Finette. And Freebirds General Contracting, Reginald Williams. You can find their contact information in the comments below. And thank you for tuning in to the We Power podcast.